Hey, aren't you that guy who got AIDS? Come on, do the song. Get away from me.
Get away from me. Threw my life away.
Yeah, I think even just like, I'm totally lost.
I'm totally lost.
He just says it. Yeah, yeah.
And then some old guy comes up. He's like, hey, how's it going, Chuck?
Yeah. I gotta slow down there, Chuck.
You gotta slow down there, Chuck. Let me tell you something. This world's full of 3 different people. Pussies, dicks, and assholes. And
the way he lays it out, it kind of makes sense.
It actually is 100% accurate.
Yeah.
It really is. I really think it's 100% accurate.
Oh, goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh, my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Connington, joined my fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Woolscroft.
Slick my butt, suck on my balls.
America! Fuck yeah! What you gonna do when they get for you now? Yeah. Happy 4th of July, folks.
Yeah. Happy Independence Day.
Independence Day.
We celebrate a bunch of crotchety old rich men who didn't want to pay taxes that forced the poor people to go to war against their own republic.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Right. And oh yeah, they had slaves. And
oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah, Thomas Jefferson was a slave rapist.
Didn't want to deal with that one. Freedom for everyone. Except for slaves. America, yay.
And I never forget George Washington's wooden teeth. There was actually teeth of slaves he pulled out of their heads.
I actually read that recently.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, it's horrible. Very horrible. Anyway, let's take an hour or so to not think about horrible things like that and talk about something funny. We're episode 217, and in honor of Independence Day, since we reviewed all of the Independence Day movies, we had to pick another patriotic film to cover. And what better way to cover America than with the 2004 black comedy from, I would argue, one of my favorite comedic duo to come out of the 90s and 2000s, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, with
Let's
Team
go
America,
police the world.
World Police.
Yeah. We got 5 terrorists going down Bakalaka Street.
Yeah, this movie couldn't be made nowadays, too. There's a lot of movies I'm finding that even 10 years ago, you couldn't make them nowadays.
I feel that, like, all of the, like culturally inappropriate things were so purposeful that I think that maybe they could get away with it. Like, because they were mocking, like, that type of movie that minimizes other cultures so that, like, even, the hayseeds among us can understand it,
Right. And, I mean, the thing, too, is that I don't think anyone else could make this other than the people
Trey
behind
and Matt.
South Park. Like, those literally are the only 2 people who ever could make a movie like this, because they, since, 1998, basically have been lambasting everyone. And if you make fun of everyone and you offend everyone, then yeah, you can make a movie like this that also offends everyone. Yeah, Team America. So this movie came out the year I graduated high school.
Yeah, me too.
And I remember this and I was just like, this is fucking hilarious. Like, honestly, there was never a movie quite like this that had been made. One, it was done entirely with puppets. Okay? No CGI.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
No real CGI in this. And it literally, like, you're just like, how the fuck do you make a movie like this? And in looking at the behind the scenes, this was honestly hell for Trey and Matt to make.
Painstaking
Hell, because every set had to be built to scale. You had pyrotechnics, you had the puppeteers themselves. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces to this movie that I really don't think you would want to make a movie like this nowadays, because it's so ridiculously painstaking to make.
Oh, and there's all kinds of like little Easter eggs, like the street in France is made of croissants. When they're in China, some of the buildings in the foreground are actually Chinese takeout containers. Like, there's all kinds of stuff like that in this movie.
Yeah. Now this movie, you know, it came out at a time, and I think our younger audience might not get this. But after 9/11 happened, the world got super dark and super
Wait,
serious.
9/11 what year?
Of 2001.
Oh, okay. Oh, that was a terrible 9/11. Reminds me of that tragedy.
Yeah, it's a tragedy. But I think a lot our younger audience might not understand that the world got real dark real fast. And it was a very serious time. I mean, basically, you know, a lot of us were basically like, well, what do we do now? And the reaction from our government was, let's go bomb everyone except for the people who actually got us. That's a whole other podcast right there. And this movie, I bring this up because to understand the humor in this, you have to understand kind of where we were at. In 2004, we had already been, about a year into the Iraq War?
Yeah, it was
2003 was when it started.
The fall of 2000. I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure it was the fall of 2003.
Once again, we are not apolitical.
No, we're not.
So forgive us for not knowing these dates. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure it was the fall, because 2001.
I was
right
in
after
school
that,
when W started bombing Iraq.
Yes, yeah. And it was all under the pretense of that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction, and that Saddam Hussein was the bad guy, and you know, that there is a war on terror because of 9/11. So it became an idea of America had to go out and attack everyone, whether or not they attacked us or not. Iraq was kind of the first one. This is also the time where we started to pay attention to North Korea and Kim Jong-il. Not Un, that was his son. Il hadn't died yet. So
how dare you? Our great supreme leader is not dead. He's just plotting his return.
Yeah, that's right. He has no butthole either. But yeah. Anyway, the whole pretense by the time that this movie had come out was that America really was, in a sense, policing the world as it became a matter of terror, because we had suffered a terrorist attack on our own shores. That's also not ignoring the fact that this country has probably committed to a lot of terrorist attacks across the globe in terms of arms sales. But I don't want to get into that. Look up America arms sales. You'll see exactly what I mean.
We aren't Bin Laden, so yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get across. Yeah. Is that as much as we like to think we're the good guy, we're also the same person who's given the quote-unquote bad guys guns. But my point is that this movie comes across against that backdrop. And I think it's important to bring that up because people might not understand now that we've gone through Obama years, the Trump hellscape, and now back to what I'd call crotchety old man years again.
Normalcy-ish, yeah.
No, I wouldn't. No, there is no normalcy. Okay?
The old normal. Normal.
Yeah. The little blip in the road for 4 years that we had. We're still back to the road's bumpy, but it's still a road. So the point I get across is that through all this, you might be remiss not to remember kind of where this movie was in terms of backdrop and why they were making a movie about all this stuff about policing the world. And it was because quite literally we were at the time policing the world. And this is kind of where we get this hilarious, and it opens up with a scene in Paris, which I gotta say, I love the fact the first scene is a shitty looking background with the marionette.
There's a story behind that. Like,
is there?
Apparently Trey Parker did that on purpose, because when they showed it to the executives at Paramount, they were watching the movie, and the one guy, as soon as he saw like that backdrop and the puppet come in, he went, "They fucked us! We gave all this money, they fucked us!" Before it pans out. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, so it opens up with this amazing little background. It's like, literally looks like shit. And then it scales back and we see this very crazy detailed, wide, expansive Paris set. In which you basically have every caricature of French people represented. You have a little kid singing Frere Jacques. Yeah,
there's a mime, and there's
a mime there.
Baguettes, yeah.
Baguettes, yeah. And at the same time, there's of course a person of Arab descent who is standing in the middle of it. And this is, again, it's at the time when a lot of the world viewed people who were Muslim as terrorists, and it's still unfortunately something that we have to deal with.
It was an oversimplification.
It was an oversimplification.
Man with beard, bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not right. And that's one of the reasons why I say this movie might not get made nowadays. Is that I think you can't do that. You just can't. Plus also the way they're talking, saying Durka Durka, Muhammad Jihad, that sort of thing. I think that you can't do that. It only, I said this before, it only works because of the fact that it's at that time period, and it's also the fact it's Matt Stone and Trey Parker. That's the only reason that this happens.
Sherpa, Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. So, of course, these people are quote unquote terrorists. And Team America shows up and blows Paris to hell.
Yeah, in the attempt to save everybody, they destroy everything.
They destroy the Eiffel Tower. They blow up the Louvre. It is nuts. It is entirely nuts. And this is also where we're introduced to our team. Okay, do you want to go down through who our team of Team America is?
Oh, let's see. Wait, we have Gary.
He's not in there yet. You have Carson.
Caught me off guard. Yeah, Carson.
He's the leader.
Right. I just want to show her those cornfields on a Nebraska night.
No, that's not. No, that's Joe.
I'm trying to
get
pull
your
it up.
characters right.
Try to pull it up. Yeah, you caught me off guard. All right.
Do you know who they are?
All right, give me a second.
Do you need help?
Give me a second there. I almost have it. All right. Yeah. So why don't you start?
Okay. So we have Carson, he's kind of the leader, along with Joe. Joe is the guy who's the football star from Nebraska.
Yeah.
Who's he's kind of like the dimwit. At least I kind of consider him a dimwit. And then you've got Lisa, who is the resident psychologist.
The sexy one.
The sexy blonde one.
As much of a puppet could be.
Yes. Yeah. And then we've got Sarah, whose special power is that she can use psychic powers. And that Joe has some sort of effect, like attraction to her.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you've got who's the asshole? Oh, he plays Chris.
Chris. Yeah.
Chris.
This guy. Yeah.
This guy. He's gonna play the
actor. Yeah. What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna take your balls and stuff up your ass. You're gonna be shitting all over your balls.
Yeah. Every time you take a shit, you're gonna shit on your balls.
Yeah. Chris, who's the resident martial arts expert. and badass.
Yeah. You lose.
You lose. Hey, Robbins, guess what? I'm a smoker. Yeah, and the leader of the entire leader of the entire team is none other than friend of the show. I mean, we call him friend of the show, right? We interviewed him. Spotswood, played by Darren Norris.
Spotswood.
Return
to headquarters for debriefing and cocktails.
when a man puts a penis in his mouth, he takes a pact.
This whole episode is just going to be us quoting
it
the
is
movie, I think.
Totally going to be nothing but I'm sorry. If you don't like that, go to the next one or listen to Summer School. Okay, we recorded that one last week.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Spotswood, I'd say he's the star of the whole show. I love Darren Norris in this. This is quite honestly, I think, one of his best roles, along with Cosmo and Wanda. But just his voice in this is just so good. I have a friend from college who quite honestly would quote Spotswood all the time. Every day I'd see him when we were going to class or something like that. He would quote Spotswood all the time. He would say, "Top Gun acting."
In college, I would, like, every time something went wrong, I would go, "Jesus, titty fucking."
I think you did that in grad school, too, man.
Oh, yeah, probably. I still do it. Yeah.
Jesus, titty fucking Christ. I'm going to blow it up. So, while all this is going on in Paris, Carson gets killed in front of Lisa, blood splattered everywhere. And then that leads to us moving to Broadway in New York. And this is where we get introduced to Gary Johnston,
who's doing a performance of Lise.
Yes, Lise, the off-Broadway hit.
Yeah.
The song for that is "Everyone Has AIDS." And everyone's digging it. Everyone's digging the song. He's like, "Man, that guy is the greatest actor I've ever seen." Yeah. And while this is all happening, someone asks, Gary, how do you get in the role? He's like, "I just think of the saddest thing I can possibly think of." And then we get this weird sound effect happening. Of course, we know that is going to be something we're going to hear about later. Regarding
the chimpanzee.
Gorillas. Yeah. And this is where Spotswood meets Gary in his limousine. He's got his drink. He's like, "Hey, would you like to come with me?" And Gary literally says to Spotswood, "Oh, I know what you are. You're one of those Hollywood producer types who wants me to go down on him."
I'm not from Hollywood. I'm not here to fuck your mouth, and my time is extremely valuable.
This all comes back later, by the way.
I love that, by the way. He's like all American actor, like it's a football thing.
American actor. Okay. And this is where we find out that Spotswood is taking them to Team America's base inside Mount Rushmore. And he gets introduced to the whole team. This is where also he first sees Lisa, becomes really interested in Lisa. And Chris calls him, "Oh, this guy's replaced Carson. I don't like
a fucking actor.
Actors." Again, Chris has a backstory as well when it comes to actors that is horrifying.
Yeah.
Horrifying.
And I thought just seeing Cats was bad enough.
Yeah. I've never seen Cats, so I don't. Or the movie. I didn't watch the movie.
I saw them both. I saw the Broadway play and the movie.
Why?
Because I'm a sadomasochist, I think.
I guess so. Man, that's just horrible. But, Gary doesn't want to do any of this. He doesn't want to do Team America. He's like, "I just want to be an actor and act in Broadway and all that fun stuff." So he leaves, and we get this amazing montage. I love how Matt and Trey quite literally went to real places and put the doll in real places and filmed it in a way that it looks so shitty. It's got noise and grain everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's clearly he's in front of the Capitol, the real Capitol. It's a doll just sitting there.
And they clearly didn't get like permission or
No.
they didn't permit to shut it off because it's like people that are all around.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it looks like crap, because they have to have just gone in there with like a little camera and just said, okay, set up the doll. Let's do the thing now and let's get the fuck out of here. Because again, keep in mind, this is 2003 at the height of Crazy Town. Not yet. I mean, I'd say this was at the height of just Crazy Town, not Crazy City, which is what we get in the Trump years.
Well, the funny thing about this movie is that they had like it took them 2 years to make or to write this script.
Yeah,
because originally it was a mock of The Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah,
that they got the script ahead of time and they wanted to make The Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah,
and they're like, because they wanted to do that with puppets, and they're like, guys, there's no way you could legally do this. You're going to get sued. So they rethought it and said, oh, what if we just made fun of Jerry Bruckheimer movies? And that's why the humor works so well in this movie.
Yes.
Is that they originally had a ton of jokes in there, and they realized that the jokes weren't landing. The funny thing is to do it like it's an actual action movie, and the fact that they're puppets is why it's going to be funny.
That part is the best part. Like there are so many times when, they are literally acting out the exact same stuff that you see in Jerry Bruckheimer films, and it totally works. Like the chase scene in Cairo, or even the face Val Morphine thing where Gary gets plastic surgery. That's literally pulled from what the fuck movie was it? Face Off. It's literally pulled from Face Off.
Yeah,
and it works. It absolutely works. Getting back to the plot here, Gary has this whole "Freedom Isn't Free" song playing in the background, and he decides he's going to come back to Team America, and they need his help. The first mission he goes on is going to Cairo, and he has to infiltrate a terrorist bar.
Moss Isley. Yeah,
Moss Isley. It's basically Moss Isley.
Yeah. Durka.
Durka. Muhammad Jihad. Sherpa. Allah.
Durka.
It's horrible. Yeah. Fucking horrible. So, yeah, they disguise him in the most ridiculous fashion.
Well, the thing is, like, his face molding to me, Middle Eastern, just like they just glued like dark hair on his eyebrows and head. Yeah, it's like a couple brown spots on his face.
And they put a towel on his head. It's just, what the fuck?
Like, he's still in his street clothes. Like,
yes. And they're like, use your acting ability like it's the fucking Force. And he gets in, and that's when he meets the main terrorist from Paris. They don't believe that Gary is really, a terrorist who wants to help them out. Because he says quite literally, oh, are there any terrorist attacks that you're planning?
That I might be involved in?
You're just like, no one would say that, but okay. And he gives this amazing story about why Gary is a terrorist. And he says something to the effect of like, well, the infidels came and they lit the oil fields on fire. It rained black fire
like
from
the eyes
the sky.
of Allah.
Like the eyes of Allah. And you're just like, oh my God, this is so horrible. And the lead terrorist in the furry hat says, I like you. You've got balls. I like balls. And then this leads to them seeing Team America outside because Team America doesn't know how to disguise themselves.
We're Americans. Why should we?
They quite literally are wearing suits that say Team America in red, white, and blue. And they're trying to hide. So that leads to this amazing car chase. Because I forgot to mention this. One of the things that they had told Gary to do if he's in trouble, if he gets found out, is to do the signal. His signal is quite literally put his hands up and scream.
It's me. What is he saying? I think
He's saying kiss me. Oh, little fucker.
Smart ass motherfucker.
So during this car chase, which is quite literally pulled out of a Jerry Bruckheimer film, Team America apparently doesn't know that Gary is in the back of the car.
Yeah.
Because of his acting. His acting is so good. You can't tell. You just can't. Just can't tell. And they blow up they blow up the pyramids. Again. Team America blows up the pyramids. And they kill the guy in the furry hat. Kill the terrorist in the furry hat. And they think they stopped the terrorist plot. Lisa saves Gary from the explosion in the car. Like, basically saves him from getting killed. Because, that's going to come back later. Yeah. And that's when they go and they have cocktails with Spotswood to celebrate.
Debriefing and cocktails.
Because I guess that's what they do after every, mission. Debriefing and cocktails.
Yeah, you gotta
You gotta unwind.
Yeah, unwind a little bit,
You gotta unwind. This is kind of where we see a little bit of kind of how the relationships between all the members in the team. This is where we see that Joe actually really has a crush on Sarah, and Sarah kind of has a crush on Gary, and Gary really likes Lisa, and Lisa really likes Gary. It's a lot of that. This also is the scene that precedes by far one of the best scenes in the entire movie. And that is the sex scene. Between I can't even talk about it.
And this is
so fucking over the top.
And this is what got him an NC-17
yes.
originally. For puppet sex. They don't even have genitals.
Yeah.
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 But apparently the MPAA can't have any sex scene, even if it's with dolls. Like, no 10-year-old has ever grabbed a Barbie and a Ken and
every 10-year-old has
together.
done that.
Yeah.
Every 10-year-old has done that.
Yeah.
As soon as the 10-year-old realizes what sex is, they absolutely did that. Of course. But they have quite literally the most gratuitous sex scene that has ever been in a movie with dolls. Like, he's like pile driving her, and it's crazy. It's all dolls.
I think Trey and Matt said that they purposely made this as graphic as possible to distract the ratings board from other scenes. Like, if they're focusing only on this, they won't. It's like the Gong Show. The Gong Show, would purposely put women out filleting bananas as their first act, so they would go, "Oh, you got to get rid of that," and they would ignore the rest of the stuff on the show.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I know that's really smart. But I mean, honestly, that makes total sense, because throughout the rest of the movie, you've got the Chris character talking about being gang raped by the cast of Cats. You've got so much violence towards the dolls themselves, especially in the scene where they're fighting all of the actors. It's so much gore. But yeah, it makes sense that they would be focusing on that, because that's kind of what the ratings board typically does focus on, is sex. They don't care about the violence too much. No. It's the sex stuff. Which honestly, I would be more concerned about the violence than I would the sex personally.
If you want an understanding of the NC-17 rating, check our archives. We have a whole episode.
Yeah, we did. We seriously did do an NC-17 episode. So this kind of leads to strife within the team, because right after the whole gigantic sex scene happens, the terrorists blow up Mexico City, or they blow up Panama Canal.
A fun couple Easter eggs in this scene. All the plants are weed. And the woman with oranges on her head, those are goldfish crackers.
I almost spit up my water just now. Yeah, so they didn't stop anything, basically. So it tells the team that there is something else bigger happening besides the normal everyday terrorist stuff that they've been attacking. And this is where we kind of find out that really who's in charge is Kim Jong-il, who I used to really like his character in this and find him funny. I just now find him annoying, personally. I don't know about you. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's supposed to be annoying to some level, Thankfully, he's got like the Goldblum effect where he's only on camera as much as needed.
Yeah. I mean, I find the actors that they parody in this far more hilarious than Kim Jong-il. Like I find the like Danny Glover and Tim Robbins and Matt Damon, and Sean Penn. I find them when they're shown in this and they're fighting Team America. I find them to be much more hilarious than Kim Jong-il, and he's throughout the entire movie. But yeah, Kim Jong-il has been orchestrating this whole thing behind the scenes. He's been selling weapons of mass destruction to terrorist cells across the globe, and his whole aim is to kind of send the world back to the Dark Ages, in essence, for reasons we don't really need to know much more other than that. We're never really given much more than that. He just really doesn't like people, and he's lonely.
Yeah,
he's so lonely.
Well, he's Ronry.
He's Ronry.
Let's call us the film does it. Yeah, we're not mocking anybody.
We're not mocking them. The movie does it.
Yeah.
I do got to mention one thing. I love the scene with Hans Blix.
Yeah.
Oh no, Hans Bricks.
I like that they actually had a real weapons inspector.
I didn't know that was a real weapons inspector until I actually years later. I'm like, oh, that Hans Blix is a real person, but he is. He's a UN's weapons inspector, and they have him come. He's like, Kim, we need to go see. You need to go let us see if you have weapons of mass destruction. If you don't let us see, we will be very, very mad with you.
And we'll write a letter.
We'll write a letter and say that we are very, very mad at you. And so
apparently, this is one of the other scenes that got them the NC-17.
Really?
Apparently, yeah, they didn't like Hans being eaten by a shark. Apparently, a puppet getting eaten by a shark is enough for an NC-17 rating.
I guess so. But yeah, so Hans Blix falls into a trapdoor and gets eaten by a shark. There you go, Hans. There you go, Hans. Oh, yeah. So after all that happens, and after Panama, Gary kind of has a breakdown and decides that, his acting got a bunch of people killed, and he kind of leaves the team. And this is where...
Well, we also are introduced to the Film Actors Guild.
Oh, yes. I forgot to mention them. The Film Actors Guild. Yeah.
That would not fly today. If anything
No.
in this movie, that would not fly
That
today.
would not fly at all today. Really bad. So yeah, the Film Actors Guild, which is the Screen Actors Guild, basically, condemns Team America, condemns the war on terror, blah, blah, blah. Because the funny thing is that was actually happening in reality. A lot of members of the Screen Actors Guild were coming out against the Bush administration at the time, coming out against the war in Iraq, which rightfully they did. But then you also had people who were saying, well, you should go back to acting and not commenting on world events, which I would say they're human beings living in the country. They're allowed to have opinions too.
Well, some of them were kind of sanctimonious.
Some of them were very sanctimonious. Yes, yeah. I will agree with that. Some of them were very sanctimonious.
And this movie goes after Alec Baldwin, Tim Robbins, Sean Penn,
George Clooney.
Mostly. Yeah, George Clooney. And George Clooney actually said if he wasn't lampooning the movie, he would have been mad.
That's the funny thing is that George Clooney and Matt and Trey have a very good relationship. Yeah. Clooney played a dog in one of our early episodes of South Park.
Yeah.
Quite literally. So yeah, he took it in stride. And I love that. I love that George Clooney has that kind of sense of humor. you got to figure someone who was in, Revenge of the Killer Tomatoes should have a sense of humor.
Well,
first
Matt
movie,
Damon.
by the way.
Yeah, Matt Damon was actually a friend of theirs too, and the character was supposed to be like witty and charming, but when they got the puppet, they're like, this thing looks deformed. So they were like, we're just gonna have him say his name monosyllabically.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Matt Damon. Yeah. So this kind of turns media attention towards Team America, all the all-out hatred to them. It makes Gary kind of quit the team.
Oh, we should also, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
We should also mention the Michael Moore puppet. Because,
I was going to get to that.
Okay, yeah. Because, Matt Stone was in Bowling for Columbine, and they thought, oh, well, aren't you guys friends with Michael Moore? And they're like, well, we are not going to not lampoon somebody just because we know them. Like, yeah, this is what satire is. Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing is that's why I say, like, these are the only people who could make this movie. Yeah. Nobody else could. Nobody else can make this movie. Only the people behind South Park. Because they know how to make fun of people, even if they're friends with them. That's the best part about it. But yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that Michael Moore are still friends with Matt and Trey. I assume so. Yeah. But yeah, so Michael Moore's puppet has like 2 hot dogs in his hand. Yeah, Team America, you green assholes. Yeah.
Not the lowest common denominator.
No,
or anything, right?
not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Make fun of someone's weight. Why not? But yeah. So there's protesters outside of Team America's kind of compound. Gary decides to quit the team, and this causes like a big rift between all the team members because Lisa said, "You said you wouldn't die," because that's the only way that Lisa would have sex with Gary. So he said, "Promise me you will never die." Yeah. I promise I will never die. And he's like, "I just said that. What do you mean I'm never gonna die? Everyone dies." That's and this also reveals to like Sarah, who kind of had a crush on Gary, that Lisa had sex with Gary, and it just causes like whole strife among the team.
As we mentioned in last week's episode, the all is lost moment.
The all is lost moment. Yes, that's screenwriting 101. That and show and then have that same thing show up later.
Yeah.
So Gary leaves and the team goes out on a mission to try to deal with Panama, I believe. And while this happens, like everyone's dejected. Gary ends up going to a bar, getting completely shit-faced drunk. And the team gets like attacked by North Korea. Like they get their asses handed to them.
Kim Jong-il, what's he doing participating with terrorists?
Yeah. Because intelligence didn't know. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, I'm a little too with the times. Yeah.
I forgot to mention
Kim.
that.
Yeah.
What was that?
I said I got the wrong Kim, didn't I?
Yeah, you said Un.
Yeah.
Il.
Kim Jong-il.
Yeah. So Kim Jong-il kind of attacks Team America. They get their ass handed to them. Michael Moore straps a bomb to himself and blows up Team America's base.
That's where we get the Jesus titty fucking.
Yeah. Team America! Yeah. So everyone thinks that Spotswood's dead, which he's Spotswood. He's never dead. And Gary, and we flash forward to Gary kind of in a bar, and we get this amazing callback. We get this, I mean callback, but this amazing discussion that Gary has with a drunk old person. Because Gary's like completely lost. Like he hears that "Freedom Isn't Free" song on the jukebox. He's like, "Turn that shit off!"
Hey, aren't you that guy who got AIDS? Come on, do the song. Get away from me!
Get away from me! Threw my life away.
Yeah, I think even just like, I'm totally lost.
I'm
Like,
totally lost.
he just says it. Yeah, yeah.
And then some old guy comes up. He's like, "Hey, how's it going, Chuck?
Yeah. I gotta slow down there, Chuck.
You gotta slow down there, Chuck. Let me tell you something. This world's full of 3 different people: pussies, dicks, and assholes." And
The way he lays it out, it kind of makes sense.
It actually is 100% accurate.
Yeah.
It really is. I really think it's 100% accurate. Sometimes dicks fuck too much. Because pussies get fucked by dicks. Or fuck when it isn't necessary. But, yeah, this causes Gary to throw up. And they say, get out of here, I say. And so he ends up in the alleyway, and we get, oh my God, one of the most over-the-top scenes aside from the sex scene, in my opinion. And that's the Gary throws up.
Oh, yeah. Like, enough for 3 stomachs full of vomit. Yeah.
Yeah. Enough for 3 stomachs. And it's just like, the music that's going on in the background with this scene is amazing.
The epic music.
It's epic music going, da-da-da-da. It's completely thrown up. And you know that there's definitely a hose connected to this doll that's causing all this vomit to come out. And it's the most violent, like, heaving that's happening. And he passes out kind of in the vomit. And while this is all going on, he decides that he's going to kind of get his life back together. And he goes back to Team America's base and finds it's all blown to hell. And that's where we see Spotswood. And Spotswood's been blown out. It's like, I'm going to blow up North Korea. And that's... Go ahead.
It's just amazing he has that power at his fingertips.
That was very bad intelligence. Very bad intelligence.
Sorry.
So yeah, Spotswood doesn't believe that Gary now wants to fight for the team. So he quite literally says, "You've got to suck my dick right now.
No, suck my cock.
Got to suck my cock to prove that you want to. That's the moment that we had no trust in our relationship, and now you have to fulfill it." It's like, that doesn't make any sense. But
I think the funniest thing in this whole movie is when Gary goes down on him, the puppet like makes no expression. He's just staring off and did nothing while he's getting blown.
Yeah, the puppet quite literally. No, his face is just moving. Like, you can see his eyes moving. And like the mouth does go down a little bit. You're just like, what is happening here? Yeah, so he does, and then he's like, we got to get you into shape. So we have a montage.
Yeah, which this bugged me a little bit because
really?
Like, this is it's from season 6 of South Park, the montage song. Like, I'm like, come on, Trey, don't recycle your South Park stuff, you know?
I think Trey would say, listen, my South Park stuff is fair game.
Yeah. I mean, I love I like the montage in this movie. I love the montage thing in the South Park episode, but I'm just like, oh, this is from South Park. You know, they're literally just recycling it, you know?
Yeah. No, I get that. So Gary goes to this montage where he's like shooting guns, kicking ass, working out. And you hear this whole song in the background going, everyone has a montage.
Even Rocky had a montage.
Yeah. And while this is all going on, Kim Jong-il has a plan to kind of blow up the world. In that he's going to partner with the Film Actors Guild, specifically Alec Baldwin, and have what he calls the International Peace Event. Okay?
Yeah.
Where he invites all of the dignitaries from every country across the globe and, in essence, distracts them while he blows up the world and blows up their countries. That's basically his plan. Oh, yeah, by the way, when all this is happening, Team America has been captured by the North Koreans and are getting tortured. Like, Joe literally is getting his balls electrocuted. Scene. And during the montage, it kind of leads up to Gary going to North Korea and the event starting. And I don't really find the whole a peace event that funny. Like there's a scene where they're like showing the biggest song, pop song in all of North Korea, and it's really weird. It's got like synth music in it and just a bunch of soldiers dancing.
Well, do you remember our introduction to Chatham? It wasn't like our first day, but like the welcome to Chatham thing we did.
Yeah.
And we were in the chapel.
Yes.
And it was, I can't remember what country we were supposed to be like admiring at the time, but they did this like ceremonial dance. And I was like, this is so fucking weird. But because I'm an American. It's nothing weird about what they were doing, but because I'm an American, I'm like, this is out of my comfort zone. You know?
Yeah. No, I do remember that. And every year that our grad school would quite literally like celebrate one country, which is good. It's good. It's good to be exposed to that. But yeah, that year they did have someone doing a dance. I forget which country it was. But yeah, that is a little unusual, I think. Especially if you're not used to that. But yeah, they do that in this movie too, where they have like North Korean music that they're parodying. And all as this is going on, Gary infiltrates the compound like a Jedi. Like he's literally got a cloak on. Yeah. He's like, you don't need to see my invitation. and Spotswood's on the radio like, my God, his acting ability has surpassed. Yeah. And he gets in, and then of course they realize that he's not, on the guest list, and they start shooting. And Gary's like, I came packing. Starts blowing everybody away.
He rescues all the celebrities fighting them.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. He rescues the team.
Yeah.
And the team now has to face down the Film Actors Guild. Yeah. Because they're like, well, if Team America wants to show blood, we'll shed blood. And you get, I would say this is probably the best part of the entire movie, aside from the sex scene and the vomiting. The whole, it's almost kind of a mockery of, what the hell movie is it? Bruce Lee film, Game of Death. Where you've got like a villain you got to face each level. It's kind of like that. Where you've got like Tim Robbins and Sean Penn and Susan Sarandon and Janine Garofalo shooting at him.
Yeah, by the way, MPAA, you have a problem with puppet sex, but Janine Garofalo's head explodes, and you're like, "Oh, that's fine."
That's my point. It's like during this whole battle between the Film Actors Guild, there's so many gory ass moments. Like Samuel L. Jackson gets his head ripped off. Janine Garofalo's head explodes. Tim Robbins gets lit on fire. Okay. Danny Glover and Sean Penn get attacked by a cat.
It's a lot, or it's a tiger cub. Come on.
It's a tiger. Maybe you'll have fun with Kim Jong-il's Panthers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is balls to the wall insane. And to try to go beat by beat would take us, 2 hours long.
Yeah. Although I do love Susan Sarandon yelling, "You will die a peasant's death."
Susan Sarandon. I love that scene because of the fact that she's like pretending to be tied up, and Gary's like, "No, you're acting."
Yeah, your acting skills have
your
diminished
acting's
with age,
fading like your age. It's like, wow.
You will die a peasant's death.
And this is at the scene where Chris explains, why he doesn't like actors. And it's because of the fact that he was really into theater as a kid, and he went to go see Cats, and the whole cast of Cats gang raped him.
Well, Mr. Mistopheles butt raped him,
Mr.
Right?
Mistopheles. I was raped by Mr. Mistopheles.
And it's so sincere, and like the music matches the sincerity of it. Every time that scene comes on, I'm in tears laughing. And they were so right not to like put jokes in this. Like, I mean, technically this is a joke, but like they handle it so authentically that that's what's so fucking hilarious.
Yes. Yeah. It's like that. And I didn't mention kind of Gary's backstory about his acting. Earlier in the scene, Gary talks about how he gets his acting ability, and how his acting ability has caused people to die. His brother apparently died because they were acting at a zoo, and his brother fell into
the gorilla cage. Yeah.
Was basically ripped apart by gorillas, tossed around by three of them. My brother was tossed around by 3 gorillas. They took turns. Oh my God, it's horrible. And this all kind of leads to, the team's trying to stop Kim Jong-il right as Alec Baldwin goes on stage, because what Kim Jong-il has told Lisa, because we forgot to mention this, Lisa kind of is handpicked by Kim Jong-il to witness all of this happening. And he says that once Alec Baldwin hits the stage, that's going to cue kind of the weapons of mass destruction. So Alec Baldwin hits the stage, and he's like, "Now we're going to die. You're all going to die in 5 minutes." Because, of course, it's got to be a ticking clock.
Ticking clock, yeah. By the way, in her hair is actual matchsticks.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's supposed to look Asian, but they're just matchsticks, like literal matchsticks.
Wow. I did not know that. But Alec Baldwin, who's considered the greatest actor of all time in this movie.
Way to stick it to Alec Baldwin.
Way to stick it to him. He comes out and he's doing his best acting, I guess. And Gary comes on and they're like, "You can't outact him.
You can't outact me, boy.
You can't outact me, boy." And this is where Gary gives his dicks fuck assholes speech.
Yeah.
Might be the greatest speech in all of film history. Might be.
Yeah.
I think so. Might be. This one up there with Charlie Chaplin's speech about bullies and war in the Great Dictator.
The Great Dictator?
Yeah. Might be up there with that.
Yeah.
But dicks also fuck assholes. So if you don't let us fuck this asshole, we're gonna have our pussies and our dicks all covered in shit.
It's a round of applause.
Yes.
Comes up, yeah.
So this then leads to Kim Jong-il kind of starting the trying to kill everybody. Gary comes up there. He stops the clock 1 second away. Lisa pushes Kim Jong-il, and he gets impaled on some German Weimar's helmet.
Apparently doesn't even realize it.
That's right, because apparently all of Germany still wears the Weimar Republic helmet, right, with the spiky thing. They all wear that still.
This movie was otherwise very culturally sensitive.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally culturally sensitive. And so Kim Jong-il dies. Alec Baldwin gets shot up by Kim Jong-il. I forgot to mention that because he failed him. His acting was usurped by Gary. And we find out that inside of Kim Jong-il is actually a cockroach.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Why not, movie?
And it goes off in a rocket ship.
It goes off in a rocket and says, "You haven't seen the last of me, Team America." And then we get the ending, where, of course, is Team America, fuck yeah.
Yeah. They saved the day, and they're going to continue to police the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because the police is back on force.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this movie. I really do. It's horrible. I really think could not be made nowadays. But
I feel that's horrible in all the best way, because humor has to have a purpose.
Yes.
You don't just make a rape joke for shock value. If you make a rape joke, it should be in the essence of saying why so many rapes happen, or why women aren't believed. Something. There has to be a constructive purpose behind it, and I think that all the balls to the wall inappropriate humor in this movie does have a reason for it existing. It's not just Matt and Trey being Middle Eastern people go durka durka. It's much more nuanced than that.
I think for me, I love the fact that this movie, it is as dark of a comedy as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
And is dealing with stuff like that's the thing is you're dealing with material that when this movie came out, we're 3 years removed from 9/11. People have died since then when this movie came out. We actually had real terrorist attacks. The terrorist attacks in London that happened. So you're dealing with real dark subject matter. And yet this movie is able to get across its point of view. I think that's one thing that sometimes parodies can do is get across what their point of view is that our country, who are the quote-unquote good guys, are not always the good guys. You know what I mean? That we are fallible, even if we're doing something in the sense of good. Every single time that Team America shows up, the whole place blows up. Like, that's kind of what happens. No one deals with the repercussions of that afterwards. And
the
they
media
do
also wanted to oversimplify everything that was going on when there's more nuance to it than that.
Yes. And it absolutely has no problem hitting both sides either. The whole Film Actors Guild is absolutely a hit against self-righteous and I would say privileged people giving their point of view.
Well, apparently Sean Penn freaked out about this and wrote them an angry letter. Yeah. And he wrote, like, sincerely, fuck you, Sean Penn. And the thing is, Trey and Matt laughed their ass off because, like, most of the things he wrote in the letter were almost verbatim what they had the Sean Penn puppet say in the movie.
I went to Iraq. Like he says, I went to Iraq like 5 times in the movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact that, you know, this movie has no problem picking fights with both sides, you know, I think it's respectful. I don't think there are a whole lot of filmmakers who are working in comedy who can do that, who can do kind of what is done in Team America. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to say that this movie makes you think. It doesn't. It's purely for comedic value. But I think if underneath that comedic value, there is messaging there. That both sides can act ridiculous at times and lose sight of the real issue here. But it doesn't come across as preachy, which I think is good, because I don't think this movie would be nearly as successful if it was just Matt and Trey's opinion being preached throughout the entire film. It doesn't feel that way, at least to me.
Yeah, they're not trying to convince you of anything. They're just showing the absurdity of what's around them.
Yeah. And I think that the episodes of South Park that you get now are a little more preachy.
Oh yeah.
Than the humor in this. Like I think there are like and I think that also might be because of the time period that we're in. I know that, you know, during the whole Trump years, it's like, well, all nuance is pretty much thrown to the wind at this point. So I think you have to be kind of on the nose with it a bit more, because the circumstances that we were in has changed. But yeah, I think this is a solid film that just could not be made nowadays. Just couldn't.
And what better jingoistic nightmare to celebrate the 4th of July with than Team America World Police?
Yeah. I think this is a movie that it's just kind of like last week's. It's a fun movie. I'm pretty sure people hated this movie back in the day. I don't know about Roger Ebert.
Oh, Roger Ebert did hate this, actually.
Oh, of course he did.
Yeah,
of course
he gave it a 1 out of 4 stars.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I'm assuming a thumbs down. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, of course he did. Yeah. Of course he gave it 1 out of 4. I wasn't offended by the movie's content so much by its nihilism. Oh, Roger. Of course. I mean, but the truth is that is nihilistic. This movie is nihilistic. Whatever. Who cares? Yeah, that's Team America, folks. Team America. Fuck yeah. Cool. John, where can they find you at on the Twitter machine?
Bald Eagle, American flag wearing motherfucker. At the Unreal J Wolves. Yeah.
And you can find me at Brian Coddington, also on the Psycho Show page. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Psycho Show. You can also find us on the Epicast Network at epicastnetwork.com. If you have a favorite movie or question you want to throw away, or, I don't know, you got offended by this movie, understandable. Everyone was basically lampooning this. You can contact us at cinemapsychoshow.com. Be sure to subscribe to us or follow us wherever you listen to audio, and we will see you next time.
Come to my 4th of July barbecue where we'll be eating motherfucking freedom. Goddamn.
America, fuck yeah!
Yeah!
Epicast.